Afternoon. My name is Rachel Rice, and I'm the Assistant Director of Career Services for the College of Arts and Sciences.
I'm Beth Manella. I'm the Associate Director of Corporate and Employer Relations for the College of Arts and Sciences.
We're here today, whether this is morning for you, afternoon, evening, just to share some resources that we thought would be helpful for you to stay proactive during COVID-19. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about the professional impact, meaning what are the things you should be aware of? What are trends that we are seeing with hiring for jobs and internships? And then some tips and tricks on how to really combat these issues before they come up, even though we're presented with a situation that's really quite unfortunate and out of our control, but how do we gain more control during this time? And just a quick review of the resources available through the SPDC and even beyond. To begin, I wanted to share a little bit more insight into why I felt this topic, particularly proactive versus a reactive approach, would be helpful. My background is in counseling psychology, and in graduate school, one of the theories that we most closely researched when thinking about what do you do when something is out of your control was solution-focused theory. And now I will say this theory, I'm not going to go into too much detail. It doesn't directly posit that there's a proactive versus reactive approach, but when we think of situations like COVID-19 and being off campus, away from friends, family, faculty, and resources, we have to think now about what we can control. So I wanted to focus our conversation today on how do you take action during a time where something has been imposed on you, as opposed to just responding to events as they occur. And I think this approach will help you not only in your professional situations, but I think personally as well, because we can all benefit from really thinking a little bit more intentionally about what are those key things that we can control during a time that feels pretty chaotic and feels out of our control. And we understand for students, as this is our target audience for this webinar, we know that there is a huge emotional response to COVID-19. And we know that for seniors, we hear you, we see you, we understand that this could not have come at a more unfortunate time. And, you've been taken away from an integral part of your life, right? The last semester of your college journey. So we understand if you need to take a moment, right? Seek counseling services, rely on friends and family during this time and do what you feel you need for your mental and physical health. We are here to remind you, while there's a fear of this impacting jobs and internships and potential offers or, even solidified offers, we know that this could be real, but what we are seeing are opportunities are still available, even though there might be a hiring freeze.
Yes, and I've joined in, this is Beth speaking, to share from the employer perspective. And I work directly with employers and I seek opportunities that might be of interest to majors across the College of Arts and Sciences. And what my team has been really focusing on the past few weeks of COVID-19 is learning from employers directly how this situation is impacting them. And I recognize from the college perspective that everybody is disrupted in one way or another through the COVID-19. And so I'm here to share that many recruiting opportunities, yes, have been canceled or postponed. And if you are in one of those situations, we empathize with you and we would love to help you and support you through this process. That's very unprecedented. And on the positive side of that, companies are still hiring. Our team recently contacted over 400 companies that we've worked with closely over the past few years, and we've asked them to provide updates on the situation. And so I've included a few logos here, companies that we have heard back from that have said, yes, we still very much want to hire Elon students, and we have opportunities in a number of areas. So what you can do with this information is look into these companies in the Elon Job Network and look at what their active positions are to see if that might be a good fit for you. And there are more companies out there, hundreds and hundreds of companies that are in wait and see mode. And that's for a few different reasons. Ultimately, a company does not want to rescind an offer from a student for a postgraduate internship or an internship for an undergraduate student or a full-time position. But the situation might cause that. And so a lot of companies truly are waiting to see what is going to happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks to best determine the next steps. So if you're sitting there thinking, what's going to happen with the top companies that I'm interested in, you might also need to wait and see over the next 4 to 6 weeks, which is not ideal, but that's just the reality that we're living in right now. And then the professional impact here is to share that the impact of COVID-19 is really varying by the industry that these companies are in. For example, Rachel found a great resource for the arts and performing industry, and I'll let her share more about that.
Yeah, I'll be sharing a little bit more about that later on in our presentation today, but we know just as, you know, looking at the sort of one of the most obvious industries, the arts across the board, really we're seeing a shift there in the amount of opportunities or offers that are available. So we understand and we see you there. But yeah, I'm happy to share that a little later on in our time today.
When we think about for-profit corporations, they are all, to my point a little bit earlier, either in wait and see mode, or they've made decisions that they can offer to students either to change the internship or the post-grad opportunity to a later start date in some situations, or they've transitioned the opportunity to become remote. And one opportunity that we want to share with you all is this is probably a good opportunity to look at remote work. And I've included a link that will take you to over 1,500 jobs that are available remote. And this is a resource that was shared through LinkedIn. And ultimately, this conversation is that the takeaway from this conversation is each industry is unique and they're managing the situation differently. And on behalf of Elon and the corporate and employer relations team, we are doing our best to track how the industries are responding to COVID-19 so that we can best inform students based on their industry of interest. The third point I have on here is a technology company resource. This is a spreadsheet that has been updated regularly with the status of different tech companies. This is a great resource to open up and bookmark and check back on daily, especially if you have a few tech companies in mind that are companies that you might want to work for in the future. This is a good page to bookmark and see what decisions they're making. And you'll notice on this resource, it's very clear if the company has decided to suspend hiring or delay hiring, cancel an internship program, or remain business as usual with their hiring. So we hope that all of these will be helpful.
Thank you so much for sharing those great resources, Beth. And ways to stay proactive. I wanted to include this again because I want you to think a little bit more about having an action-oriented approach during a time, again, that's a little bit out of our control. So to start off with your job and internship search, one great thing that you can be doing right now is taking the time to either set up your LinkedIn profile or update your LinkedIn profile. While we know that LinkedIn has opportunities in many industries, we can see that there are some that, you know, are very heavy in terms of posting on LinkedIn. But even if you find that there are not opportunities using the job search on LinkedIn for you, there are other ways that this platform can be of use for you during this time. One of the best features, in my opinion, and one of the most helpful features that I've found for students is the ability to connect with alumni. When you connect with alumni, part of the Elon network, they're usually more than willing to have a conversation with you or talk a little bit more about their career trajectory and how they got to where they are today. So take this opportunity while we're all in the same boat to reach out and have some of those conversations, because you never know, that might lead to your next step. Additionally, you could still continue to be part of the small pool of candidates that are applying for opportunities, and that actually does release to employers. The next point I have on here is with email and phone outreach. Of the appointments that I've been conducting most recently virtually, one of the topics of conversation that's come up time and time again is, what are they going to do this summer? What's going to happen for my opportunity? And my biggest piece of advice here is make sure you're the one reaching out to them. Don't wait simply for the opportunity to come to you or wait for a response from somebody. You must put yourself out there and be the proactive person in this game. right? That shows your initiative, and it also shows that you care a little bit more than some of the other candidates might. So put your best foot forward and reach out before you wait several months to potentially hear back from an opportunity. Even if your summer plans, unfortunately, may be canceled or postponed, this is a great time to think ahead for summer 2021. Now, we know with those of you graduating this summer, it might not be as easy, but for those of you with another year left, you can think about a postgraduate internship or see potentially if an internship that you were thinking about for this summer could fit into your fall or spring schedule. It's a great time to do some career planning with one of the career advisors in our office. Again, we're more than happy to schedule those appointments with you and talk about your future a little bit more intentionally during this time, especially when it may be the source of your anxiety. It's better to start combating that earlier as opposed to later. Another really great way, I think, to stay proactive during this time is to demonstrate flexibility, right? This is a great time to show that bullet point on your resume that says you've been adaptable, you've been able to take on any change that comes your way. Really live out that bullet point and show them that you are flexible. We know that it's not the most ideal situation, and we know that it probably wouldn't have been your top choice for opportunities to be canceled, right? But everybody's in the same boat. So show the employer, show the potential company that you've been in contact with that you're flexible and adaptable, and you're still interested in an opportunity with them going forward. Now is also a great time to get involved with some of those side hustles, right? And I hope you all know what I'm talking about here, but if you've had a hobby on the side, like let's say making logos or graphics for resumes, it's a great time to make some extra money off of your hobby. Right? Show your entrepreneurial skills and show your technology skills in this way as well. There's no better time than now when you have time on your hands. Additional virtual resources that we think can be really helpful for you during this time, and I'd like to give a special shout out to our colleague in SPDC, Allison Doherty, for creating an awesome blog post with additional resources and some of the same resources from our office of how we can kind of stay connected and stay involved during this time. The first one that I want to talk a little bit about is called Big Interview. Big Interview is a virtual platform that Elon University supports, and it is a free resource for students to be able to practice and prepare for interviews. You can actually record yourself and send the recording to faculty or one of the members of our staff and get some feedback on how you did. I think it's a great way, you know, when you don't know when your next interview will be, to at least try to prepare. And if you can't make an appointment with a career advisor, it's also a great way to do this on your own time. This resource is available to you even beyond graduation as well, so something to keep in mind. And what I really like about it is there are multiple industries that are supported, so you can do different rounds of interviews, different sets of interviews, depending on industry or your level, right? Advanced versus intermediate versus beginner. I think it's just a great resource to take advantage of during this time, and I've included all of the links here as well. So if you see something underlined, make sure to take a look at that after the webinar. LinkedIn Learning. So if you've ever wanted to pick up a technical skill like SAS or R, maybe Python, even if those are too advanced for you, there's a beginner Excel series listed on LinkedIn Learning. This is also a resource that Elon University supports, and it is free for faculty, staff, and students. So if you just click the link, I've linked to the wiki page on how to get started here. This is a great way for students if you wanted to list that you have an Excel skill on your resume, but you're feeling a little shaky about it. This could be a great way to get that refresher or to boost that skill and make you feel a little bit more confident about listing that on your resume. So take advantage of some of these online learning tools, especially if they're free for you during this time as well. Some additional free online articles and job boards I'd like to just mention, and I've linked here as well. As Beth mentioned, there was a tracking document for companies that were still seeking that we've linked previously, but I wanted to give some examples of, you know, nationwide. We see websites like The Muse, which is a great resource for job seekers, Glassdoor, which has information on company reviews, interview reviews, and more. And LinkedIn, as we had mentioned before, they've all listed some articles on different companies who are hiring right now. So it's a great opportunity to maybe consider an industry that you hadn't before and do a little bit more research. There are plenty of articles to take a look at, but the two I've linked here I think can be particularly helpful. Now is additionally the time to make sure you update your Elon Job Network profile. On the Elon Job Network, you might have, hopefully, received emails from me on a monthly basis highlighting different job and internship opportunities. Those are still available, and it's a good idea to set up a job alert on your Elon Job Network profile. You can do this on most major industry-specific job websites as well. You can simply set your profile to send you emails when any new job is available. That way, you don't have to go back and check every single day. It just eliminates one possible thing from your list of multiple things to do during this time. Additionally, on the Elon Job Network, there are industry-specific job boards, which are also really helpful to check out during this time. If you have any questions about these resources, please make sure to reach out to us, and we're happy to help as well. As Beth had mentioned earlier, I additionally have been trying to do some research on, what are our local and national associations stating about COVID-19? One resource that I found that was particularly helpful was from the Southeastern Theater Conference. And I know this is specific for performing arts. I just wanted to give an example as I work with the student population pretty frequently. There are multiple resources on how to stay up to date, including Broadway trainings, including podcasts to take a look at, things that you probably are already doing, like making sure your website is set up, making sure your reel is in good shape. But if you check out any local or national associations in your industry or field, like STEM or healthcare, there are most likely going to be ample resources associated with COVID-19. One of the additional ones that the SDTC resource highlighted that I thought was great for students to know is I believe there are companies similar to U-Haul who are setting up a free 30-day storage unit. So take advantage of some of those resources as well. Finally, I just wanted to make sure to include our SPDC information and how to contact us. We are open remotely during this time, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. I've linked how to make an appointment with a career advisor. You can do this over WebEx, which is the platform that we're using currently to record this webinar, over the phone or via email. There's additionally a live chat feature where you can kind of get an on-the-spot quick question answered, that wouldn't take emailing back and forth with an advisor. Additionally, below you can see our contact information, and we encourage you to reach out during this time. Again, we know that this is a stressful situation. We know that this is taking a toll on you in multiple ways, but we are here to help. Please make sure that you take advantage of these resources while we still have the time. And just know that we hear you, we see you. As I've mentioned before, we are empathizing with your situation. I hope you've enjoyed this webinar and hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for joining me.